Hey, I'm Chase, and today we are talking about the holographic plus magnifier, or hybrid sight, compared to a Voodoo 1:6. Let's get into it. Let's take a look at the optics. First, starting with the hybrid setup. So here we have a Jacob Gray rifle, and on top we've got the Eotech 3x magnifier with the EXPS 3 holographic sight. Next, we're going to bring over the 1:6 Voodoo. So, what does each of these optic setups give you performance-wise? Why would you want them? Why may you not want them on these particular AR platforms, which are both 10.56 barrels, and they are chambered in 5.56. Let's talk about it. Let's start with the hybrid setup. So, like I said, this is a 3x magnifier. It does flip out of the way if you just want to use the holographic EXPS 3, and obviously you can flip it into place if you need that extra magnification. Why would you need magnification? Typically, that's going to be more for observational capability before shooting. So being able to observe your target from farther distance and get that good PID, or positive identification of what you're actually shooting, it's kind of a big deal because you don't want to shoot the wrong thing. Same thing over here with the LPVO, which is a Voodoo 1:6. So this starts at 1 and you can crank it all the way over to 6x. So like I said, you've got some good observational capabilities here. Obviously, you've got twice the magnification on the 1:6 than you do on a 3 power. Now, one of the primary benefits when you start talking about this hybrid setup is, like I said, you can flip this magnifier out of the way and just run it as a normal holographic weapon sight. And that's very useful. Obviously, it's great for CQB. It's great for all your close range engagements. And like I said, if you do need to reach out a little bit farther, or you're not sure if what you're looking at distance should get some rounds on it, then you can always flip the magnifier down, get some clearer ID on what you're actually seeing at distance, and then obviously this will aid you in taking your shots. Couple of considerations. Obviously you have to have the optic zeroed, the holographic weapon sight zeroed, and then you're also going to need to zero the magnifier to the red dot and to your eye. Couple of other things to consider is your actual eye relief. So each of these optics has an eye box. The holographic weapon sight has a pretty awesome eye box. It's essentially unlimited, or as close to unlimited as physics allows us to get. Your head can kind of be anywhere around here when you're shooting, and as long as you see the reticle, you're going to be on target. Not quite the same with the magnifier. It does have a smaller eye box, although it's still very forgiving when compared to most other magnified optics out there. Moving over to the Voodoo 1:6, still on 1 power, it's got a huge eye box. It's over 3 inches. It's like 3.2 and change inches on 1 power and on 6 power, which is kind of incredible for the industry. There's not many optics that have that same forgiving eye box. The reason that matters is when you're running either one of these optics, say you were using the magnifier, you're shooting at distance, and you've had to transition to something closer range. That can happen obviously in a high-risk predator hunting situation where what you're hunting may hunt you. For a self-defense situation where perhaps you've had to take a longer range shot, or you were looking at something at distance trying to figure out exactly what it was, and a threat presents itself close range, having a forgiving eye box on a magnified setup is really important for that quick acquisition, getting behind the gun and getting rounds on target immediately. So that's going to be the case with either one of these optic setups. Depending on your body type, the weapon, all that kind of stuff, your training, it'll determine how fast you can get behind that magnified optic, but it's going to be pretty easy either way, like I said, because of that forgiving eye box. In my experience, it's a little bit easier on the magnifier than it is on the 1:6, but it's not a big difference. However, with this 1:6, when you can crank it all the way to 6 power, since this is a first focal plane optic, what happens is the zero is consistent through the range of magnification. So you go ahead and get it zeroed at whatever your chosen zero distance is. For instance, on this gun, since this is a 10.5 inch in 5.56, we zeroed it at 36 and 300. So that's a 36-yard zero, and we confirmed at 300. That means the point of aim, point of impact is the same at 36 and 300. That's the case for both of these weapons. Then basically, I can shoot this on 1 power at whatever distance and I crank it at 6 power, I have the same 0 through the entire range of magnification because this is first focal plane. It also means that when I dial it in at 6, no matter where I zeroed, whatever particular 0 you like, I'm able to use that reticle. In this case, it's the SR3, that's an MOA reticle, to go ahead and do my ranging estimation. And there's a lot of information on Eotech's website if you want to get into the details of the reticle and the ranging information for each given reticle. So overall, you guys may be saying, hey, it's only a 10.5. Why even put any magnification on these things? Well, that's a valid question. Typically what we're looking at now with bullet technology and barrel technology, as long as you, the shooter, are doing your job and applying the proper fundamentals, it's actually pretty impressive how far you can reach out. I know there's always going to be the internet argument of, well, but terminal ballistics. What are my effects on target with a 10.5 given environmental conditions and bullet weight? I get it. I won't dig into that. But the point is you can put rounds on target easily out to 400-500 yards with these guns, like I said, assuming you are actually doing your job. And these optics really help with that. One, because the glass clarity is amazing. That light transfer through these optics is something I can't even really tell you about. You got to sort of see it to understand it, but they're very, very clear optics. You're going to be able to see, regardless of lighting conditions, morning, noon, or even in the fading light, how well you can see through these optics. That's going to help. And then obviously with the added magnification, when you're talking about those extended ranges, that can really be helpful for, like we talked about, both positive identification as well as actual putting rounds on target. So which one is best for you? Ultimately, I can't answer that question. It depends on where you live and what you're doing with your gun. But again, like we talked about, these weapon systems are capable these days. Bullet design and bullet technology has gone way farther than it used to be. So it's kind of impressive what you can do with it, honestly. Now, specific applications. As you can see, we've got a suppressor on here, and this is set up to be a little bit more of a precision platform where if I want to run this at 1, do my CQB stuff, I certainly can, but if I'm going to throw this down in a bag or some sort of hasty support, go ahead and dial in the magnification. I'd feel real comfortable with 77 grain, stretching this thing out to 500+ yards and getting that good, consistent accuracy. This is absolutely a sub-MOA gun if I'm doing my job, so I'm not too concerned about being able to do that. Can I say the same with a hybrid setup? Yes, but there's the caveat there of training. What you as a shooter are actually capable of pulling off because you don't have that extra magnification here. One, to ensure you're shooting at the right thing, but more importantly, in this case, when we're talking about accuracy, to really get that fine resolution with a 3 power versus the 6 power. Just things to consider. Ultimately, what Eotech's doing is providing you, the end user, with a lot of options to fit your use case. Overall, these guns are capable, the optics are amazing, and like I said, Eotech's here to provide you guys with support and options. If you got any questions about it, you can always hit them up in the comments. Like I said, check out their website. There's a ton of information there. And yeah, so hopefully you guys found this interesting and educational. If you got any questions, like I said, hit them up in their comments or their customer support. Thanks so much for watching. See you next time.